Good day, everybody. Our lesson 1, is about numbers. Yes, maths deals with numbers, and therefore whole numbers is the first thing we're going to learn about. So I've prepared some notes for you, but I will explain them. So what you need to do is make notes of the terms so that you can memorize them, because this work is easy in the sense that it's not a lot about understanding, it's more about memorizing. Let's begin. So the first thing you need to know is that the whole numbers are the numbers from 0 up to infinity. 0 is a whole number, but 0 is not a natural number. Negative numbers are not regarded as whole numbers. If you haven't learned about negative numbers yet, don't worry, we will get there. Now, whole numbers, there are different types of whole numbers. They have special characteristics. You should know what the odd numbers are. They're odd because they cannot be divided by 2. So if I have 3 balls and I have 2 people, that one can get a ball and that one can get a ball, but that ball is odd. It will have to be split in half if I want to be fair. So that is why they're called odd numbers. They cannot be divided by 2. The even numbers, on the other hand, can be divided by 2. So if I add another ball to my little picture here, each person can get 2. The number of balls is divided evenly between 2 people or 2 things, or whatever the case may be. The keyword is 2 and without a remainder. So you must understand what odd numbers are and what even numbers are. The next very important one is prime numbers. Now, before we can talk about prime numbers, you have to make sure that you know what a factor is. So a factor is just a number that can be divided into a larger number without a remainder. So let's take the number 24. The factors of 24 are 1, because 1 can divide into 24. 24, because 24 can divide into 24. 2, because 2 can divide into 24. 3 can divide into 24. 4 can divide into 24. 5 cannot divide into 24 without a remainder. Therefore, 5 is not a factor of 24. And of course, 6 can as well. So, what is a prime number? A prime number is any number that has only 2 factors. Now, people often make the mistake to think that uneven numbers cannot be prime. They can. That's proven by the fact that the first prime number is 2. What are the factors of 2? 2 itself and 1. That's it. No other number can divide into the number 2 without a remainder. The definition of a prime number is something you have to learn off by heart. It's a number that has only 2 factors. Something that you can perhaps keep in mind is that the opposite of a prime number is a composite number. So if you ever come across the term composite numbers, just remember it's the opposite of a prime number. It has more than 2 factors. That's the only distinguishing factor of a composite number. Now, the concept of a prime number and factors can be combined in the idea of a prime factor of a number. So here we've written down the factors of 24. Take note that because I did not use factor pairs, I forgot to add that 8 is also a factor of 24, because 3 times 8 is 24. 2 of the factors of 24 are also prime numbers. That's, of course, the number 2, or the factor 2, and the factor 3. Therefore, we can say that 2 and 3 are the prime factors of 24. So you're looking at two properties of a number. It must be a factor of another number and a prime factor at the same time. So let's write down the factor pairs of 8. And I want you to make another note, a mental note. It's often very useful to think of to work with factors in pairs. I'll show you why now. So the factors of 8 are, we begin with 1, then 1 times what gives me 8? 8, that's the first factor pair. Is 2 a factor of 8? Yes, it is, because it can be divided into 8 4 times. That's your second factor pair. 5 is not, 6 is not, 7 is not. And when we get to the duplicate 8, we know that we've completed the list of factors of 8. Which one is the prime factor? Only 2. Remember, 1 is not a prime number. I'm going to say this again. 1 is not a prime number. It's a very common mistake people make when they don't think very carefully about what a prime number is. Let's just do another example. Let's take the number 16 and write down its factors. And I'm going to do it in pairs again. So 1 and 16, 2 and 8, 3 is not a factor of 16, 4 is 4 times 4. I'm not going to write the 4 again, and I know that I've completed the factors of 16 because I've reached a duplicate number. So the only prime number of 16 is 2. Just something else that you can keep in mind. While most uneven numbers can be prime numbers, not all uneven numbers are prime numbers. You have to think about this very carefully. Let's consider the uneven numbers. So we've got 1, which is not a prime number, not prime. 3, yes, 3 is a prime number. 5, yes, it's a prime number. 7, yes, it's a prime number. 9, wait a minute. How many factors does 9 have? The factors of 9 are 1, 9, and 3. It has 3 factors. Therefore, 9 is not a prime number. 11, prime number. 13, prime number. 15, nope, not a prime number, because it has 3, 5, 1, and 15 as factors. So don't assume that because a number is odd, it is a prime number. Consider the number of factors. Let's recap. This is your first lesson about whole numbers. The whole numbers begin at 0 and they go into infinity. They can be divided into two main groups, odd numbers and even numbers. Even numbers can divide it by 2 without a remainder. Odd numbers cannot. Prime numbers have only 2 factors, and you must know what a factor is. If you get confused, remember that a factor is always smaller than the number it can divide into. So, factors are numbers that can go into greater numbers. So if you're asked to give the factors of a specific number, the factors have to be smaller than the number that you are given. And that concludes lesson 1 on whole numbers.